Jesus met us
in the trenches.
in the trenches. Yep. So we're not here to preach at you. We're just here to be real with you. This podcast is our way of offering hope, healing, and a way forward when it feels like you've tried everything else. We genuinely believe that the true way to peace and freedom is through a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Amen.
We're so glad you're here with us. So let's dive into today's episode.
What is today's episode about? Rachel?
So, he never calls me Rachel, so it's always odd to hear him say that.
Well, I'm not going to call you my pet name. It's not dirty. It's not dirty.
So, today's episode is, and we've taken a couple weeks off, but we are going to be talking about villages. Villages are so important. Everybody says, oh, you got to have your village and build your village and, all with the villages.
Before you dive into that, can you explain it to some people what a village means?
Oh, just like your people, like the people that you do life with. It could be family, it could be friends. It doesn't have to be.
Be a mix of both.
Could be a mix of both. But it's people that, if you've got an emergency errand to run and you need somewhere to drop your kids off, you call so-and-so and you drop them off and you go to, it's kind of...
Somebody's got your back.
Yeah, the village is kind of like your safety net.
Yep.
Which is wonderful and everybody needs it, but I think it's important to talk about when you either think that you have it and then life happens. Mm-hmm. And what happens when the people
Not just once, but there was two. Well, there was more than just two things, but there was two major things that really opened up peeled the scales off our eyes a little bit.
Where we would have said and did say, thank God we've got all these friends. We'll be fine. We've got this enormous family.
Part of that family, too.
I know. Well, we just figured, we would be fine. And you always say to yourself, or at least I always have, we have poured into a lot of people over our lifetime. I'm sure everybody feels like they have in one way or the other. And you always tend to say, when you're going and helping so-and-so move, or you're, making sure that there's meals for somebody after they have surgery.
Well, do you want to start with a little bit of personal stuff? Ooh.
No, I never want to start with my own personal stuff.
Well, I'll go first, if that'll make you feel better. Even though you're still a part of the story.
Well, that's true. Oh, so, no, I guess the point was that you tell yourself, if something tragic ever really happened to me, these would be the people that would show up. I've done, and it's not that it's like a tit for tat or a keep score,
right.
But you say to yourself, I never care helping these people out. I love my people. You got to give to people. You got to sow into people. You got to pour into people. I had said to a million people over, if something tragic ever really happened to us, people would be beating down our door.
Yeah.
Because I thought that they would have.
Until this stuff happened, you couldn't have told me otherwise.
No, not at all.
Even though there were some of those people that people tried to tell me otherwise, and I didn't believe them.
And I think that is an important part of the story, too. When the people that you expect to show up don't. Unpacking what happens when people you did not expect to show up.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. And how that goes. Because that's, it's not weird. It's nice. But looking back on stuff.
It's weird. It's weird to me. Only because of the way I've used to view it. Mm-hmm. Because my thing would be, well, you never come around me before. Why are you here now?
Right.
So I would be more suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Not now, but at the time I was more suspicious on why are you asking this stuff? Mm-hmm. So
do you want to kick us off?
Us off?
Yeah.
I can't use my legs. I could use them. I just can't kick good. Don't call me to move and don't call me to be on your kickball team.
I'm begging you.
Some people know the stuff that happened to me, and we touched a little bit on it. Just a quick thing, my wife got sick at one point, and it was a pretty scary time, and then I had my brain hemorrhage, and I don't want to say anything, like, I don't want to make it sound bad, like mine was worse than yours. But the people that didn't show up during yours, I didn't expect them to anyway. There were some, especially from your side, that I was very surprised about not showing up. There was a few I was surprised that did show up. But on my side, when the thing happened to me, like, I mean, I went through weeks of physical therapy, speech therapy, what was the other therapy?
Occupational therapy.
Occupational therapy.
You how to do all this stuff again.
I had to relearn to walk. I had to relearn to pick stuff up. I had to relearn to basically everything.
Everything. Shout out to Cardinal Hill.
I spoke, but I wouldn't make sense, and I still don't find words well. But
it's a lot better than it was.
Yeah.
I mean, just night and day.
And just my brain processing still, it's way better than it was. But still, with the speech therapy, my voice gets weak still now. And I think that I'll touch with that on this. It actually ties into the story on this part. But yeah, when all that stuff I went through never bothered me because I couldn't talk to anybody anyway. You know.
You mean like when
while
you were
I was
in the
doing it, like
hospital
some people retch out. But I couldn't read and type and stuff, and I couldn't make sense. I was blind for a while and couldn't see anything. And
part of that was my fault, I'll be honest with you, because I flipped into nurse mode, and you weren't getting past the threshold of the doorway at the hospital unless and
that's the thing. I don't remember none of that part. This is all the stuff I remember after.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that my charming disposition may have impacted.
Well, you
receiving visitors.
This guy. Oh. I was a big deal.
That's true.
To you and the Lord. Yeah. Anyway, so all that stuff I went through, and I got home. I cried the whole way home because I was so happy to be coming home. I get home, and days and days and days and days would go by. And
well, so everybody was here when you got home.
Right.
The cavalry showed up.
Not everybody. See, I'm thinking of everybody as a whole in this group. Like, I'm not specifying friends or family, because to me, these people, all of them,
you're just thinking about the
family
people that were important that, like,
that
we have all done life
I would have
with.
vouched for that would have been there.
Okay, all right.
That's all. That's what I mean.
Okay,
like
all right.
Some people didn't show up, and I just knew them for so long. And it's like,
that's on brand.
Yeah, that's on brand for them. It's not a big thing.
Yeah.
But days turned to weeks, and weeks turned to months. Not even a, hey man, how you doing? Didn't hear a word out of some people, and I would have never believed that.
No.
And it hurt. I was pissed, and I was not as healed as I am now. And because this was still before I came back to the Lord fully.
Yep.
Because and that right there's the problem. I know that for a fact.
Looking back on it,
I put humanity here, and I should have left them down here where they belong.
Idolatry, baby.
All of us. That's me, myself included, because that's the thing. Like, and I don't want it to sound like people don't have things going on. A lot of things go on, but like not even a text message of, hey, how you doing? Oh, I just heard. Or, no, not a peep.
No.
And that's what hurt the worst, because the few people that did that, I would have went to the ends of the earth for.
We about did for some of them. Yeah.
So that was a big, painful part for me, and I've been through a lot of pain still now, and the Lord's been working on me to forgive, and I've forgiven it. I won't forget it, but it's not hurting my feelings. It actually made me realize how I had my life organized was completely wrong. And that people will let you down every time, but one person won't, and that's the Lord, baby.
Yeah. If I had looked back at all of that at that
And
point,
I'm so glad he's not like, we're made in his image, he's not like, we're not made like him, because if we were, all of us would be going to hell, and none of this would be happening right, because you and I both know humanity gets mad over little things, and they want to snuff stuff out.
Yep.
So, if you look back through history, even the good ones still let God down.
Well, yeah. And I think, I know
it's just a hard pill to swallow.
It is. And I think part of that is because we tie so much of who shows up for us to our worth. Mm-hmm. Like, there were people that...
And I never cared to be popular. I always just had like a real close knit of friends that I would die for, let's say. That I consider them closer than family.
Yeah, sure.
And
we were both very loyal people.
Yeah.
And still are, but probably...
like I'm not going to stop being loyal, and I don't wish nothing bad on anybody.
No.
Because, for one, I shouldn't have put that much faith in anybody, any person.
No, that was the bigger problem.
And I want to also say that I'm sorry for that I might have had a weird reaction to certain people because I put them higher than they should have been in priorities.
Yeah.
And some of that's my fault. But at the same time, it doesn't make it any easier. And the Lord has healed me. And I can honestly say that even to this day, and going further, there will be certain people that I no longer let eat at my table. I don't care. I don't want you not to eat. I want you to get well fed. I want you to have a great life. I just don't want you eating at my table anymore. And that's just the way I've come to it.
Do you think that you were more hurt? Because we both have like a unique perspective where this is concerned, because we were both sick at different times. And so I wonder, were you more upset, do you think, when people didn't show up for you when you were sick, or didn't show up for you when I was sick?
I was already bitter at some of the people that didn't show up for me, that it didn't matter.
Okay. So it was just like all lumped in.
After my thing happened, everybody that did it to you and then to me are all lumped together.
Yep.
And because that's the only way I'm able to work out to forgive them. Because if I spread them all out, I don't want it to seem like, well, this person, they're all graded the same, just like all sin is sin. I gotta let it go. And that's still something, like, I've let it go to where I forgive them, but some of it still does make me upset. Because some of these people I knew for years, over like 15, 20 years. So it shocked me. And that was the thing too, is, certain people were like, you knew so-and-so was kind of like that. And it's like, yeah, but I thought I was the exception to the rule.
I think we all do that. I think if you make it up to your, 30s, 40s, you think, I don't know, you kind of pre-plan out, like, if something happened, it would be okay because we would do this, this, and this. But I have seen, at least over the million tragedies that have happened, to me and to us over the last 10, 15 years, it's never the people that you expect to show up. And the bitterness, you will waste a lot of time being very bitter.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had a lot of people that reached out to us to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't think that our story we're not unique.
No.
I mean, we're just
maybe
not.
For the age it happened, but overall.
Well, but I mean, as far as like having your people and thinking that these are the people that are gonna save me and come to my rescue if I ever need it, it's not a unique thing. I think the lesson is figure out how to
humble yourself.
Well, and come through it so that you don't end up a bitter, unforgiving mess.
Well, I can tell you the only way I was able to do that.
We'll get to that in a minute. Like, when you were sick, I was upset for the fact that when I was sick, it didn't necessarily matter to me that people didn't necessarily show up. When
they didn't show up for you, I was pissed.
Yeah.
When they didn't show up for me, I was heartbroken, which turned into being pissed.
Oh, that's good.
If that
Man, yeah.
that's the
Yep.
only way that I can really say
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And I'll say this right here into the camera. I cried. There was some days I cried over some people. There's
was
some
so
days
hard
too
to
where I
watch.
really, if I hadn't been walking with the Lord on them days, and if somebody would have showed up at the house that day, I'd be having to repent.
We were both in bitterness I'd started to get a little concerned about, both of us just in that way.
Well, with that too, the main thing I've learned from just studying the Bible and everything is how it says God tells you to forgive, no matter what, and you're assuming that's for them. Now, I could give a care less if the people I've forgiven
Know anything about it?
Well, not that they don't know anything about it. I mean, I don't care if they do or not. I don't care if they care. It makes it was weights off my shoulder to be able to say out loud to God that I'm giving this to you. Help me stop being upset. Let me forgive them. And it took a little while, but then it all of a sudden started making sense.
I struggled very much, and I'm sure that other people do also, struggled very much with, you've got to forgive him. You've got to forgive him. For a very long time, I felt like that was me saying it's okay that they didn't show up for me in the way that I expected.
Yeah. Was yours more of like giving excuses to people because they were close to you, so you were giving them extra chances? Because I also found that certain people pissed me off more than others.
Yes.
For lesser reasons. I was in a dark place for a while after my accident. I really was.
Yeah. So when I was sick, and I mean, it's not like this huge mystery. I had long COVID. It took them a really long time to figure it out. I mean, I was bedridden pretty much for
Well, I took off work
months and
for a
months.
lot.
Yeah, you had FMLA and all that. So I could hardly string a sentence together. And I know that I've said that before, but it's the truth. When the people that I expected, I didn't know how to not be the strong friend, I guess. Like, I was very used to showing up for people. And so when you are in a place where you need help, I didn't like to be vulnerable. Like, one, I'm not going to ask you. And if I have to ask you, it makes me feel funny about it.
Yeah.
And then
Almost like,
I don't want to be needy. And I think
Well,
that's a problem in our culture.
is it that, or is it like our personalities are more prideful than we knew they were?
Yes. And
Because
actually,
we were proud that we were the strong friend and the one that people always called on to get things done or to save them. And it wasn't so much that we felt good because we were helping. It's just we felt good because we were strong enough to help, is what mine was. And then when I guess I always assumed that there were people stronger than what I thought they were, because I figured, my people would rise to the occasion, just like I had done for them, or, you just think that of reality.
right.
Like you put people on a higher pedestal and you start making them out to be stuff that it's not fair. They can't be that.
That's
You're trying to turn them into like a superhero.
Yep. I remember that.
Not saying there's not great people out there.
No, there's phenomenal people. And people that have showed up for us. I was thinking back on this. My dad's been dead like 8 years. And, it'll be 10 this year. No, not 10. I don't know. I was pregnant with Gunner. That's all I know. So I had driven up, from North Carolina, and I didn't really know anybody. I mean, I was in my late 20s. I didn't know anybody really. I knew one person whose dad had died, or who had a parent that passed away. And that's the only way that I know how to get out of things, is to figure out, how somebody else went through it. And I remember very distinctly, I called, we're really good friends now, Susan, but we were in nursing school together.
Name dropping on here.
I know, she's the jam. But I remember just messaging her, like, we didn't know each other that well, but her dad had died
Yeah.
several months before. And I remember texting her and just saying, like, I'm in Kentucky, I'm 6 months pregnant, I'm all by myself in this house, and he's not here, and I do not know what to do. What am I going to do? But like you were saying, people can't give you what they don't have.
Yeah.
Well, none of my friends knew how to help me when that happened. Mm-hmm. God sent her to be like, listen, this is how,
Yeah.
And I mean, golly, that first trip especially, man, she saved me. I mean, not that I was... But it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was, just being, when you're so by yourself, you're grateful that anybody can help you.
Yeah.
The flip side to that was, when I was really sick, I felt like I did make excuses for people, but I felt like, people had said to me, you're not telling us. You're not telling us what's really wrong with you. Like, we know that you're sick, but they'd always known me to be able to, and I think with you too, I'm just going to bulldog my way through it.
Yeah.
Like, I could push my body through anything. I could push my brain through anything. A little bit of caffeine and a whole lot of Jesus, and, put my hair up.
I can't push much anymore.
And, keep it going. And so when I was really sick, and I'm like, I was losing my mind. I mean, not that things were like, I wasn't, but I kept thinking to myself, like, I have a brain tumor. I have something is so wrong with me.
We had been to doctors. You'd had scans, tests, and they just, it got.
I was the MRI queen.
You were the first person, besides myself, that would go to these doctors and these specialists and ask them the questions, and then they would look at you like you're stupid. And then when something happens, they would be like, well, why didn't you come to the doctor? Be like, mother, I've been coming to you all for this long, and y'all couldn't find nothing wrong.
With women, it's always anxiety. And they had sent me to rheumatology at one point, and she was like, do you think that you're depressed? No. But this is very depressing, and there's a stark difference between the two. But when I was really sick, I thought, well, I took some of it onto myself. And I thought, well, maybe people aren't showing up because they really don't know how bad I am.
Yeah.
Like, 1 + 1 did not equal 2. And there wasn't it wasn't like I was all doped up. It just, my brain was just, it was not, I wasn't me is the best way that I can tell. And if that has never happened to you, then you have no idea going to bed one day and waking up the next, and then slowly trickling downhill.
Oh, no, I didn't slow trickle.
You did not.
I woke up when I hit the bottom.
Yep. I got a lot of, you've only got one life to live, and we should go out to lunch. I think you're depressed. And it's just, but looking back on that, they had no frame of reference for what was happening. I can see that now.
Yeah.
At the time, I thought, you've got to be flat and kidding me. Like, I don't want to go out to lunch. I can hardly tie my shoes. Like, we put cameras in the house to watch me.
Yeah. So I could go to work.
So that he could go to work. My mom would come and stay.
But I had it at night just because that way I could poke in to make sure if the kids needed anything, they could go to the camera and hit it, and it'd ring at my phone, and I could talk to them at work.
And we were just trying to survive. That's all we were doing.
When you work 12-hour shifts at night, your brain does not cooperate.
Well, that made two of us.
Plus, when your wife is starfished in the bed and not moving and can't put sentences
like
together.
Snow angel, not,
I was going to say Patrick.
that does that. Yep.
Because you were
I was
little dumb.
I was derpy, to say the least. But so then, and when that got over, like, I remember having distinct long conversations with and people did show up. Like, our friends from North Carolina, God bless them, when they figured out how bad I really was, they were like, we're going to come up there.
Yep.
And I think
they also offered to do that when I was down.
I was very concerned about being vulnerable about how bad that it really was, because we really tried to keep a lid tight on it.
Yeah.
And when they finally figured it out, when we were really finally open, they were like, well, we're going to plan a trip. Well, these have always been our trip friends. I was friends with her first, and then we became couple friends, and we went.
Couple of friends.
We went to North Carolina together. They came up here. We ping ponged. Like,
Yeah.
it was magic made in
magical.
heaven. It was. And because every trip and every vacation that we had been with them
Yeah.
was, we're going to go out to eat. Yep, we're going to do these
Nonstop.
6 things. We're going to go daylight until dark, and then we're going to have a bonfire and drink beer on the, And I panicked. I thought, they're going to come up here, and they're going to be so let down. I just felt like, but the reality was, they showed up, and she laid in the bed with me for about the 7 days that they were there.
Yeah.
Like, that makes me emotional to even think about, because, I mean, they did. They just dropped it, and they came on. And so that part,
God bless them.
that part, I thought, these are our people, and they will show up, and they did.
Yeah.
And they really didn't have frame of reference necessarily for it either. So
And they didn't know me that long.
No.
Like, they had met me in person maybe twice by this point.
And I think that's important too.
Yeah, because
that sometimes people show up and they're your
I wouldn't
people, and
expected it.
your village shows up, and then, I expected it to some degree, but then the longer that I was sick, I feel like people just didn't know what to talk to me about.
Yeah.
Because I was in the bed all the time.
Yeah. And another thing that a lot of people, because there was a lot of people that, offered for certain things, but like, it was one of those things where offering to bring me food or you food was pointless.
Yeah.
Because we had food, couldn't eat. It wasn't that we had no food to eat. My wife couldn't eat. She couldn't keep stuff down, nothing. So I didn't want people wasting their money.
Right.
And some people, that's all they know how to do is offer to bring food or pick up stuff for you. And we lived in town, and they could deliver groceries to the house.
right.
So I didn't know how to ask for certain normal things or things besides that.
Right. So then I felt like I learned, after the many conversations that I had with the people who I didn't feel like showed up when I was sick, I remember very distinctly saying to myself quietly, this is my fault that, more people didn't come and show up in the way that I needed, because I didn't talk. I didn't ask. I didn't, whatever it was. And I carried a lot of that on myself. However, I said to myself, it's just because it was me being sick, and if anything really awful happened, if a tragedy happened, they would show up next time. And then the tragedy showed up.
Let's test that theory,
Let's test
shall
that
we?
theory. Yeah, let's do it.
I didn't know I was volunteering for anything.
Oh, that's not true either.
Whoa.
We have to be
Not that part.
We have to be very careful about
Things we say.
things we say.
I forgot about this.
I didn't, and never will.
I'm sorry. It sounds like a D move,
Look.
but it was a joke.
The Bible says that there is life and death in the power of the tongue. And I had started to finally get better. I was sick for about 2 years. And then I started finally coming out of it. I didn't need, a bunch of medicine. Like, it was just, I was able to start getting a job. Like, I felt like we were seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I was kind of funny again. I mean, I'm hysterical now, but as I was before.
Oh, you're hilarious.
I'm delightful.
I don't know if it's because I have a brain injury or you're just
I'll
this
take
funny.
whatever I can get. It's fine.
Well,
It does not matter.
You got this, so you got to take it. I got paperwork saying I need you, so.
Being mindful of the things that come out of your mouth.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yep. Life and death in the power of the tongue. I had started to get better. We had started to talk about and plan things as far as, like, and it was small things. Like, we used to go to Gatlinburg a whole bunch, and, we get a cabin, and go to all the outlets, and here, we're just like rattle trap talking about it one night. You know how you do. And I can still see you standing at the edge of our bed and like just, getting dressed and just very, whatever it is. Babe, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd like you and I to go away for about a month. And I would like to spend the first 2 weeks in bed, where just rest, and I want the food brought to the room, and I don't want to have to go anywhere. I don't want to have to leave the room for 2 weeks. I just want to sleep and eat and hang out with you all the time. And I said, well, that sounds fantastic. Who is going to keep our children? And from his mouth was, I figured your mama could do it. And I laughed.
I don't remember this. But it sounds like something I would say. I don't. I've got a brain injury. I got paperwork.
I'd like your mom to keep them. I bet you would. My mom has been phenomenal and wonderful. She was unhealthy for a while. And
shout out to Viola.
Oh, she's going to kill you.
Why?
For calling her that. Anyway.
That's what I call her.
I know.
Besides Mom.
I know. But I've never wanted to like dump our kids on anybody. Like, yeah, you can go over there for a little while, but I don't want to impose. I didn't want anybody else raising my kids. So like, even the thought of leaving them. Joke. I know what it was.
It was a joke.
It was foreshadowing. And the Lord
I
said,
didn't know.
I bet.
I don't think that part was the Lord, tell you the truth.
I bet it, I don't know.
I think he saved me from what happened, but I don't think that was...
Not 2 weeks after that.
Either that or he was kind of like my father when we'd be like in the church.
And slapped you in the back of the head.
Have his arms around the pew when you'd misbehave in church. He'd flick you in the back of the head. Pow! If that was a flick that did that to my brain, oh!
Well... So,
ouchie.
Then, 3 weeks later, I get a text message. I don't feel good. Something's wrong. I'm coming home from work.
I didn't feel good.
I know you didn't feel good. And he never does that. And so, but it's like 3 a.m. And I remember when you came in, you were like, I didn't want you to shoot me.
Yeah.
I thought and you said it to everybody. Like it was just.
Well, you come home at 3 a.m.
I know. You get shot.
Yeah. By my wife? Yes.
Yes. So.
Homie don't play that.
No, she do not. But the important part of that story is the fact that how long were you and I gone from this house?
I don't know.
A month. The first 2 weeks.
I was going to say, I only remember 3 o'clock in the morning coming home from work. And
well, I remember the rest of it.
And then I don't remember nothing for 2 weeks.
I remember the rest of it. And that 2 weeks, sure enough, you didn't leave the room except for, tests and whatever else. And they sure enough did bring you food. You did not leave the bed. And I was right there with you.
Well...
Because my control freak self said, they're going to kill my husband. They didn't. They were phenomenal. You were just, good Lord. I mean, if you could have a patient, you are a unicorn in every sense of the word. I met, we got together and it was like, oh, the, angels sang and it was beautiful and wonderful and he is perfect and lovely. He is a unicorn. And then as a patient, everything that could go left went left. And finally,
apparently almost my entire body shut down.
It was really bad. Like we were having difficult conversations. They sent the chaplain in to speak to me. And I was real awkward about it too. I was like, I'm sorry, man. Like I don't have time. I just, so we were gone a month because I was there. My mother kept our children. The entire time she kept them for 3 weeks, which was what you had said, and she stayed here. God love her, because we wouldn't have been able to do anything. I mean, the house kept running because my mom came. and stayed. Which is another thing, like, you really don't know who will show up. Like,
also, the thing is,
I know my mom rides or die. She's my ride or die. We've only really got each other where that's concerned. But that was the absolute grace of God, too, because she'd never kept them for that length of a period of time. I wouldn't have ever asked her to. But she did. She was just, Nana's ordering pizza, and we're all fine, and you just go do what you need to do. And so I'd, stay up at the hospital most of the time. I think I came home, because they wouldn't let me stay at Cardinal Hill, because it was like, we've got to really do this thing and, get you well enough to come home.
Yeah.
Oh, those magical people.
All them ladies were fantastic.
They were. I have a very
I couldn't tell you their names. Probably wouldn't know if I seen them.
I can.
Because people, my memory's not good with people's faces anymore. So, if you helped me in any way at Cardinal Hill and you see this video, God bless every one of you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they did. They gave me the closest part of my husband that I could get back. Like, stuff was different, for a long time, but they still. I mean, you could have not come home. That was a very real possibility.
Yep.
And so,
more so than I realized.
Yeah. Yep. But that's okay. I mean, you didn't need to know a lot of things. I think that...
Speaking of not knowing a lot of things, what was the other thing that happened that I don't know about? Well, I know about it, but I don't know what happened.
What do you mean?
You told me I went for a walk with the Lord and told everybody about it.
100%. Yep.
I don't remember it. But from you told me... Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3...
You told your parents too,
right?
And maybe
but
your brother too.
How many specialists have I had look at me? Over 7. Every single one of them said I told them to.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, I know you're not lying to me.
No, you had the full team, which was interesting because normally I really it surprises me that
all I know is
I didn't ask any more questions. I was just like, "You did? Okay." And we can go further into that.
I don't know if he gave me the option to come back or if he sent me back, but apparently me and the Lord went on a little trip. I wasn't wearing pants either, by the way. Don't know why that's important to the story, but apparently I had to tell everybody that part of the story.
Yep.
So, I don't know what the significance is of that.
I don't think there is one.
But I believe that when it's time to reveal what really happened on that walk, the Lord will let me remember. Mm-hmm. And until then, I don't think I'm ready.
No.
I don't think my brain's healed enough. I don't think my spirit's healed enough to take that big of a shock. Because I've heard and seen some things since then that doesn't make any other sense to me than somebody's telling me something that has to happen. So... Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's the Holy Spirit telling me, or I don't know if it's the adversary trying to throw me off. But there's stuff talking.
I think you'll know when you know. And maybe you won't ever have to. Maybe the whole point was just that looking back on it, it was
all I know
terrifying.
Is I'm back for a reason.
Yeah, yep.
And if that's to help raise these children... Because that's what I promised in the get-go anyway, when I prayed about you getting better. Mm-hmm. And if this is me holding up that part of the prayer,
Yeah.
And because I hadn't prayed to God till you got sick. Mm-hmm. And I remembered this when I was talking to a buddy of mine and was like, dude, you know what? Now that I think of it, I actually prayed that I'd if I could take away her pain, I would. And I said, no joke. Less than a couple weeks later, dude, I was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. I said, so I don't know if that was a deal worked out too. Maybe
you got to be careful what comes out of your mouth.
Apparently. So I don't know what that means in the fivefold, but I know there's something to do with ministry happening. So
then let's go a little bit further forward because we've kind of talked about how when you were sick, things that went that we expected.
Yeah.
As far as I thought if I'm really open and vulnerable and tell people this time, because, I blamed myself for the last time, when certain people didn't show up or whatever. And plenty of people did. Please do not misunderstand. Like, the amount of people that checked on me was such a God thing too, because there were relationships that were formed and bonds that were made I would have never seen. And I'm so thankful, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Which just goes to show, I think we have to be careful about being bitter when it doesn't look like you want it to look. Mm-hmm. Part of that, I think, is control. Part of that is just, I agree with what you said. I think it's a pride thing. I also think that we have to be so careful about wanting to give people the glory that really belongs to God.
Absolutely.
Because I had been, when
everything I do from now on is only because of God, because I'm back.
Well, it's got to look crazy is what it is. Like the people.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I think some people will look at me doing this stuff now and being like, oh, he's doing that because he's got a brain injury, because he's going a little nuts. No. Now, I feel more sure of myself and being unsure where I'm headed. I know that doesn't sound like that makes sense, but I trust God completely that I don't need to know the details, but I know He's got something planned.
I agree with that.
So I trust it. I don't have to understand it, and I'm creepily comfortable with it. So
let's walk forward then and kind of talk about how we came out of the bitterness, because after you were so sick, one, I felt like, and I think that this happens, I mean, it happens with just about everybody. If you have something, really problematic that happens that, kind of shakes you to the core.
Yeah.
You focus on, either why aren't these people here, or what's not happening correctly, or, why aren't people reaching out to me? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? I know a ton of people did reach out to me to check on me.
Yeah, there was a ton that
when you were sick.
There was a ton that checked on you when you were sick.
Yep.
Through me.
We have to be careful not to dismiss those people.
Oh,
either.
Absolutely not. I still talk to a lot of those people. Like, if I send you a text message every now and then, for one, I don't remember anything day to day. I will think that I have spoken to you yesterday, and it'll be 3 months ago. So
not a lot of good. It's a lot of time blindness.
Yeah, there's a lot of time blindness with me. But if I have sent you a text message in like the past
6 months,
3 years, especially 6 months, I love you more than others. But even if some of y'all that aren't used to getting texts from me, you're gonna get them now.
When you came home, the cavalry came to see you, getting into the house, which was really nice. It was.
Just thinking about it's about to make me cry, because I just the feeling of getting to come home. Remembering the feeling that I got to come home to you all finally, I can't put into words how that felt, because I cried from the time those nurses cheered me out that door till we got home, till I got upstairs in bed with you, until I fell asleep, because I was so happy to be home with you and the kids. That's all I wanted.
It can go. I mean, it can go. I do not care. Like, you were working 84 hours in a week sometimes.
Yeah.
If you had to be 7 days on, like just the way your schedule went, and you were doing stuff for me, taking me to doctor's appointments, the kids, all that. I mean, you were Superman, and then literally, it was
Kryptonite
just
found me.
Yeah, it was just in the blink of an eye.
And it was scary.
Well, yeah.
Every bit of it.
So if you've never had your humanity or your mortality checked,
especially my biggest problem with it was for it to happen to somebody like it did to me at the age I was, and there was no reason for it that they could find. It was probably a lot worse because everybody I was speaking to and around in therapy, in talking to people, were
stroke patients.
70s,
60s, 70s,
80s.
Yep. So
I was the youngest by far in this rehab facility, and that was terrifying.
I think I look back and everything was so beautifully orchestrated. I mean, it's easy to think on it looking back.
Yeah.
Like down to the doctors that were on a fellowship rotation, and this one was friends with that one, and they listened to, like we're trying to figure stuff out. Nobody was dismissive. I know that, UK has, that
you
was
need
a
a
God
new commercial
thing too.
on Amazon Prime, is all I can say. I've watched this woman climb this wall 8 billion times. Let's get a new commercial, UK.
You can be in the next one.
No,
You and your charm.
no.
Don't say that. Just let her climb and be where she was never supposed to be. Because you're kind of not where you were supposed to be either.
Right, but the thing is about that commercial, it's the only one they're showing. Like,
well,
you've had hundreds of patients. Let's watch an old man walk down the street. I'm tired of watching this woman climb this wall. I'm sorry.
There's not that many of the, you hang on to the miracles. You just do. I've had tons and tons and tons of patients, and I can distinctly tell you about...
If I get put in a commercial now because of you, I'm going to be very upset.
No, it came out of your mouth. I'll blame you on that one too. Yes, sir. Absolutely. They need to get a new commercial. Ring, ring. Hey, Josh, you want to be in a commercial? We've been talking about you.
You can't buy this.
You could. Call me.
I don't get any money anyway. I'm disabled, so I can't work. So
just call me. We'll set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's not true.
You can watch me climb the stairs.
It is motivational. It is. Yeah, it is. It's very motivational.
Especially when your children like to aggravate you and go to say something like, come here and give me a hug. And I go, no, I'm leaving. They're like, what are you going to do? Run away? And I'm like, yeah, okay, keep it up. Keep it up. Touche. Touche.
That's true.
I love y'all so much, though.
And you look this way, and we can hold a conversation, and all this probably feels like for a lot of people who've either one, never met you, or two, just knew you before.
Yeah.
There's a very, it was, you want to talk about trenches, trying to watch and try to figure out, because, I'm a nurse and information comforts me. So like when you were in the hospital, I wanted every test result. I stared at your monitor, and
she went full nurse mode on me.
Yep. And it's the only way that you can make it through it. Like, I didn't have time to be.
I don't know how you
I
did
had
it.
to make sure that,
because
and it wasn't like I was running it by any means.
Compared to what you were doing weeks before that, though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like.
That was God, too. God clicked on my brain. Whether you want to believe it, don't want to believe it.
Oh, I believe it.
I know, coming from months earlier where I couldn't read a paragraph without sobbing and going, I don't understand what I'm reading. Like, what's happening to me? To being like, doctors are coming in the room and they're like, well, this is going on. And I'm like, have you considered the fact that he may have this because of this medication? So that was, I mean,
Well, not only that, too, like, one,
that was a God thing too.
yeah, your expertise in the medical field was great.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that helped me more than anything
Mm-hmm.
was I finally had somebody credible in my corner
Yeah.
saying, he's taking his medicine. He
Oh,
does
yeah.
everything you all tell him to do. He doesn't eat that much. He does this.
Yep.
He does this. And I'm doing everything, working out,
Mm-hmm.
doing all this stuff. And the doctors just never believe me because
Mm-hmm.
I've always been so big. And it's like, I'm not what you all think I am.
No. Well, because the typical is
Right.
when a patient says, "Sure, I take my medicine," and then you pump up the blood pressure cuff and it's,
Doesn't move.
200 over 104. And I'm like, yeah, I bet you take your medicine. Sure you
When's
do.
the last time you took it? Well, took it this morning.
Yep, right before I came to my appointment.
I'm sure you did.
Yep, and that's the norm. That's the typical.
Yep.
But that wasn't the case with you at all.
No.
I watched you take medicine, and it was take this medicine, and I would check a blood pressure. Like, we were very meticulous with stuff, and I think that, but they could have been like, well, she's just obnoxious.
Yeah,
she's
like,
an
it's his wife. Of course she's gonna
patient
say-
family. I bet she's well. One, I didn't tell anybody that I was a nurse.
Yeah.
because you just don't. The ones that are like, I'm in healthcare, I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
Are you?
I don't know if they are.
Yeah, but I normally do. But they could have just been
Yeah.
like, she's obnoxious. Don't kick her
Don't
out of
listen
here.
to her.
Don't listen to her. We're going to do what we want to do. But they didn't. They were, they
I
were
was so
phenomenal.
glad, Days,
Everybody
that you were there.
was supposed to have their hands, like, it was absolutely the best batch of people.
Yeah.
There was a respiratory therapist. So, and I don't know how much of this that you want to share, but after, it wasn't so much an issue with the stroke, but after that, day, I don't know, 5, 6, something like that, then you develop pneumonia, and it was awful.
I don't remember that either.
It was really bad. They don't really know why that happened either, but then slowly but surely everything started to shut down, and they couldn't really figure that out either. Couldn't get your blood pressure under control. Like, it was a lot all the time.
Let me throw this in there real quick because this is also important. I was not passed out this whole time. I don't remember it, but I have paperwork that I signed. There's parts where I'm talking to people. I don't know.
You were alert and oriented times 4. I mean, you were a little like
I went to sleep,
sleepy, but
woke up in the
Yeah.
hospital weeks later.
yep.
Never knew I'd talked to certain people. Certain people had been there.
Right.
Don't remember none of it.
Yeah.
I don't remember the first room I was in because whenever I could finally come to,
We
I
were
was
about
blind.
out of there.
Well, I couldn't see.
Well, you could, but your brain wasn't processing what you were seeing.
From my perspective,
I know.
it was like somebody had their hands like this. I could see light at the outside, but I couldn't see anything here. And that was
So it was all very
it
complicated.
was a weird dream feel.
But everybody that could have been, like, they were, talking about putting you on the ventilator, and we missed that by just a squeak hair because of all the people that were there that had their hands in it. And at the time, there was no, can you help me, Lord? I remember getting to a place very early on where I just said to God, if you take him from me, I am done with you. And I
I didn't know about that either till a few weeks ago when you finally told me.
I just remember sitting there and thinking, what is the point? What is the point?
Yeah.
Because if we have done all this and, like, found each other and gotten so happy and all of that, and if you're going to make me a widow 2 weeks after I'm not, a fried brain anymore, I can't do this with you. And I've never had a crisis of faith. Never. But you ran me straight through one. And I just quit
Sorry.
talking to God. So it's interesting to me that, some people get in these really awful places. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, God help me out. Like, and I just felt like I've been here. I've been listening. Like, I've been, I'm not perfect. We're all horrible and terrible. But I thought, like, we've had enough of a relationship. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case. Not really. But when you're in it, I mean, it's tunnel vision. It's, how do I get out of here? And you turned to God, and I said, I'm telling you, if he goes, I can't. I don't know who I'll serve, but it will not be you, because I just cannot. And God can take your honesty like that. I mean, thank God he wasn't like, all right, little girl.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That ties into the whole thing of us getting upset when people didn't show up for us.
We don't show up for God either, though.
Well, that's the thing. God was there the whole time. We just weren't looking.
No. Mm-mm. Nope.
We weren't looking up like we should have been.
He felt a million miles away. I've never felt like he was that silent.
He was always there. Mm-hmm. We just couldn't see it. Mm-hmm. I see it now in everything.
Every bit of it. Every bit
Stuff
of it.
from my past that's happened, every bit of it. He was right there.
But if you don't have that to tether you, you don't know what to do with the bitterness. And I know that because he and I stopped talking for a very long time. The longest that I've always, when anything awful was happening, anything even remotely traumatic, it was, God, what do you want me to do here? Like, how am I going to get and I genuinely thought, God would figure me a way out of it. He would, Romans 8:28, all things are, for the good of those who love him. And I really believed that until and then I thought, then when you came home and you were such a stark different person, then, trauma will it'll wreck you. And a brain injury, like, you tell people, when you've had a stroke, like, your brain needs time to reset. And, I remember saying it to patients.
It's the weirdest thing to live through, I'll tell you right now.
It's so different on the other side. You tell people things for a job, and I can even remember the spiel I gave to people to say, this is what it's okay, give it time. It is very much different when you are the one staring at him and going, I don't have a monitor here. I don't have any of these things that comfort me. And what I really should have been doing was going, Lord, like, it's not the machines that are going to fix it. It's you. And eventually I got to that place, but I want to say it was months and months before I uttered a word. It wasn't that I didn't believe. It was quite the opposite. It was, I'm not going to fool with you right now. It wasn't disrespectful. It was just shut down. And that's okay too. I
hate that you went through all that too.
Well, but if we hadn't, I think that I would still idolize you.
Yeah.
Like, you were my little G God. As much as it was, you read in the Bible and it's a golden calf and you think, that's so stupid. Why would they do that? Idolatry. Yep. Anything that you love more than your obedience to God. And that was you. I just thought, we're going to have this wonderful family. And it's going to be normal. And this is all I want. I don't want fame. I don't want fortune. I want him, and I want these kids, and I want my mama to live, and I just want us to go on trips and be fine. And it's not in that either. Like, it isn't.
Yeah. When I kind of had that dark phase, not to go too much into that because we could talk about that for a long time.
Sure.
The whole, I just broke down in the shower and I never wanted to kill myself, ever. Mm-mm. I just didn't care. I just didn't understand why I lived.
Right.
Because I felt like I was a burden more than anything.
But you weren't.
Right. But that's how I felt because I could not work. I couldn't eat. I'm not trying to be gross. I'd mess myself because I couldn't feel most of my body. Mm-hmm. And, like, I'm just a giant toddler at this point, and my whole thing is, what's the point of me being here? And after I got jerked back, after I was crying in that shower, there was just all these little parts. It was him going, hey man, you remember this that you used to pray for growing up, that you wanted a family and a woman that loved you for who you were and stuff? Like, hey man, you have
she's
that.
She's mouthy, but she's here. Yeah.
I'm giving you everything you wanted. Why can't you understand that?
We put so much of our worth in. You and I have both been this way. And I felt
so guilty in that shower, and I cried.
To provide and like tying your worth, like your worth has to be in Christ, or if it's not, things will get ripped out from under, and you just won't know what to do with yourself at all. And sometimes your identity can be in Christ, and you still won't know what to do with yourself, and that's okay. But if you tie in, my identity was I'm a nurse.
All the friends I had.
And we have this cool life, and I love these people, and, I'm his wife, and I'm a nurse, and I'm going to be a nurse practitioner, and I'm going to be their mom. And
I'm not the worst person.
No.
So why he ain't going to do... No. This stuff ain't going to happen to us.
No.
Because we ain't those people.
Right. Yep. But that's not... It can't be that way. So for everything that was horrible and awful, I am more secure probably in my faith than I've ever been.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm doomsday ready.
It started, though, because you were still in a really dark place, and I, oddly, found a TikTok of all things. It's this woman, and she's given, like, her testimony at church, and she's talking about how, like, the Lord came to her and said, you have all this unforgiveness, and if you don't get rid of that and heal that up, like, I can't forgive you. You can't come to so she just and she tells it a lot more eloquently than I did. But I remember it was like God will use anything. As nutty as that is, He will use a TikTok. He will use a nut on a podcast. He will use a stroke. He will use any of it.
Any of it.
You've just gotta kind of go for the ride. But I remember it turning a light bulb on, because I didn't think that I had a lot of unforgiveness. And then she's like talking through how it's her ex-husband and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, not that
some of them seem personal here lately.
Well, mine wasn't that. Mine was all of the people who didn't show up for you,
right? Because
I became very protective of you, and so I did not realize how much
Likewise.
The rage in me that I didn't even know I had no idea.
I knew I had it.
I was like, this is,
But a lot of these people, I thought they knew better than to cross that line.
Right.
And when they didn't, that's where my anger came from.
Yeah. I felt like you, and
I'm sorry I acted that way to certain people. I really am.
It didn't do you any good it didn't do either of us. It does you no good to carry the stuff around.
Nope.
And
makes it worse.
Yes. So I will say at least what I started to do that helped. I started writing, and it was prayers, I guess. But the first one that I wrote was, I forgive these people. And I wrote individual, like, even if I had just a twinge of, I would really just like to, I hope this happens to, whatever it is that you say, like, well, when they go through it, when he cheats on her, when, she leaves him, whatever it is, like, they'll think about, blah, blah, blah. Well, that doesn't help you.
Nope.
And God can't forgive you if you don't forgive other people.
Yep.
So I started writing, and I thought, well, this is going to take a real long time, but I'm going to write down all these people.
She has bought a lot of notebooks and a lot of ink pens.
That's true. Yep. But I had to. There, like, nothing else. And I remember the first, like, I don't know if it was like a letter to God or whatever it is, but it was, I don't know what to do with these people. And I did not realize how mad and angry that I am at them for either not showing up in the way that I thought that they should. Who am I? Nobody. God sent people. I was just being a toddler, and I didn't want those people. I wanted it to be other people. And we all do that.
You wanted to be the one that chose.
Yes. Yep. Because
I wanted to pick your team. You didn't want someone else picking your team.
Correct. Because the people that did show up, man, one in particular, when I was very, very ill.
Lord knows what he's doing.
I know.
Won't he do it?
Yes, he will. Yes.
Yes, he will.
But so if you are struggling with unforgiveness of any sort, I think a lot of bitterness comes from that. Even if you don't know that I wrote, like, I think these people, and in order, I am upset because they did this. Because God can take all that. That's fine. I didn't use a lot of 4-letter words. I used some. That's how he made me. And then, behind why I was so upset, I also made a point to specifically pray for them with whatever information that I had. One in particular, I said, Lord, just if they don't put this substance down another day in their life, hear my prayer on their behalf.
Yeah.
Or let the only voice that they hear about themselves and what you think of them for the next X. Just praying for other people, no matter how upset you are with them. I don't care how dirty that they've done you, but it changes your heart posture when you start. There's a little girl that was not nice to our daughter, and I got to the point I thought, I'm going to either have to pray for this family, or I'm going to go up the street and jerk a knot in their tail.
I thought I was going to have to go stand on business.
Yeah, well,
and that was before I was back with the Lord, so that would have been the devil's business.
So I was coming back because the first letter that I wrote and finished, it felt like I could breathe. It wasn't all fixed. It still took months and months, and I'm still, things pop up, in my spirit, and I go, no, I don't want anywhere near them,
Cast it out.
Right. But I do. I challenge you. Get a piece of paper and a pen. I mean, you don't have to, but, it's been neat to look back and go, what if the only prayers that they got were because you stood in the gap for them?
Yeah.
It seemed dumb at the time. I look back on it now and I'm like, man, that was God too. So if you are struggling in that way, at least from my perspective, and it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's your mom. It doesn't matter if they're dead. It doesn't matter what you're upset for. Yep. Write it down and pray for them like you would your kid. Or, and it takes practice, I think, but slowly but surely, man, he starts working that bitterness out of you. And the longer that it's gone on, I can breathe again.
My prayers have changed with certain people tied to them. Mm-hmm. And it's more of, I hope you bless them and they have good lives, just not with me. Mm-hmm.
I prayed for you for a substantial portion.
For a lot of people, that's how my prayer life goes now. But because the way I look at it now, too, though, from all this stuff learning is, one, you're always going to be the bad guy in somebody's story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't matter who. Mm-hmm. None of us are good enough.
It's not a workspace system.
Yeah, none of us are. The only one that was Jesus Christ, and God himself had to come down and handle that business.
Right.
Because mankind can't do it.
You're not special, is the
No, we're not
point.
special. Nobody is. No, you're not special, and you're never alone.
That's true.
Even though you'll feel like it when you put things out of perspective and
in the middle of it is terrible until you get the light bulb that turns on that goes, okay, this is something that I have not given a shot to.
And there were times at first, whenever I'd get so mad, I'd have to go read the Bible for a while. And it was...
That took you a long time. I prayed on that
one. It was weird that going and reading the Bible... Didn't matter where I started reading. Just the more I read, just the more I was like, man.
It'll speak to
Job, Jesus himself.
Oh, yeah.
David, one of the best kings to ever rule Israel before Jesus Christ himself. Like, all those had people that didn't show up for them, doubted them even to their face.
So it's interesting that you say that.
And that's what's helped me learn to let things go.
So as far as people showing up, and that's been the whole, like, you know, when your village doesn't show up and whatnot, or if it's the people that you didn't expect for it to be, the first time that I cracked after I'd written that letter, the first time that I cracked open a Bible, I'm pretty sure was like a little bit, you know, because once you start getting that feeling where you can breathe again, where stuff doesn't feel so heavy, you'll chase it. You'll chase it like a drug, because nobody wants to carry all that around. They just don't. Whether you know what to do with it or not, when you finally do find a crack, you know, of light streaming in,
it's so much more peaceful.
But
staycations are so good.
I remember thinking, I need to read a book of the Bible. Like, I gave myself that goal, because I told you before, I was never like a get in the word and do it. I was a relationship girly, and I just didn't. But I thought, you know, I don't feel like I can trust what people say just because they're behind the pulpit. So I need to start reading and learning and doing whatever. So I got in the book of Matthew, and which is an excellent book. But I got to the place where, you know, it's the night before Jesus is going to be crucified, and he's asking his friends, he's like, will you just stay awake and pray with me for an hour? Not, you know, not will you care? No, nothing. Not will you fast for me? Not can we stay up all night and talk about this? Can you just stay awake for 1 hour? And none of them could. And I sobbed. It was just like, it was ugly cry sobbing, because I thought,
I read that part too.
I am not the Son of God by any stretch.
That's how
I'm much more cantankerous. And if they couldn't stand up and be there for Jesus, I have no business being upset. Because I wouldn't go to the mailbox for a lot of these people. And the Lord went to the cross for me. Like, I just need to. And that was enough of a perspective shift. Like, it fixed a ton for me. And you could have never told me that would have been it. If somebody said, well, you need to open your Bible. Nerd. No, I would not have. But when he'll talk to you through it. It's just.
Well, that's the thing. Like I told you, like, I'd read the Bible before.
Right. You were several months behind me. Like, I was kind of like.
But right now, it's like it's speaking to me in ways I never knew it would. And it's so weird.
Yeah. It's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. So
it's a great thing.
Talked a tremendously long period of time.
I felt like the Spirit guided us a little bit on some of this.
Yeah.
Because we didn't plan on talking about some of the stuff, but it all fit and tied together pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even have to use my notes. Like, that's the weird thing. Because where I can't remember stuff, I have notes everywhere so I don't forget what I need to talk about, because there'll be times I used to wake her up and tell her things in the middle of the night when I'd get woke up. Now I just write them down and then I come back to them later. So there was one I wrote down the other day, but I got the gist of it during this. I didn't need the notes after all.
It does not matter what your situation looks like today. We got a lot of feedback based on, you know, asking about people talking about, you know, if your village did show up, if they didn't show up, whatever it was. And there were a lot that stuck out. One in particular was she and her husband ended by adultery, and I mean, that's been years ago. I mean, she's married now again, but there was some infidelity that happened on his part, and I couldn't walk you through how to fix that. But she had shared that her and the person that her ex-husband was unfaithful with, you know, they had since married after that, and there's been reconciliation there in that, like, they went to dinner together. And I said, oh, well, Lord would have had to walk you through that one step at a time, because I don't know that, so it doesn't matter. You can't give me a situation that there is no redemption in it. I just, not after what we've been through, I just won't believe it.
No.
I won't.
Me either.
So.
And that's another thing, too. That's one reason why we're doing this podcast, because I know some people now are preaching end of times and stuff, and that doesn't concern me.
You need help now to not feel
because
so nasty.
You really don't know if you've got tomorrow.
No.
None of us do.
No.
I went to bed and almost didn't make it.
Yeah. Yep. Everything can look starkly different tomorrow.
And you might not have tomorrow where you're just like, oh, yeah, I'll start working on getting to know the Lord tomorrow.
Maybe later.
Yeah, I'll do it later or when I'm older. You might not have that time.
No.
We don't know.
Nope. But I do know that everybody needs to feel better now.
Yeah.
And at the very least, that has been what has turned our whole family around, honestly. And we hope that it's, that way, even if just watching us and hearing about our crazy train wreck, helps you feel like, well, crap, if they can make it through that, like, this won't be so bad. I can do this.
I was just upset I couldn't find my keys.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's plenty sometimes. But, yep, so thanks for spending some time with us on The True Way. And if something in the episode, spoke to you, we'd love to hear your story. You can always message us on social media. You can reach out to either of us personally. We're pretty open that way. Or you can email us at truewaypodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It helps more people, find their way to hope and healing. At least that's our goal anyway.
Yep. And if you have anybody that you know in a similar boat that you've heard us talk about, tell them to check us out.
Yeah,
and if they
absolutely.
need somebody to talk to, like I said, it's rare for people as young as I was when all this happened, but if you know somebody that this kind of stuff is happening to and they really need somebody to talk to that's not, going to bull crap around with them about what happened and how I've been making it through it, hit us up.
Yep.
That's what we're here for. We
genuinely believe that everybody's story, every testimony, and every truth that is shared, is a seed.
I believe God will make sure the people that need to see this will see it.
Yeah. Some people plant, some people water, and God gives the increase. I don't know what verse that is, but it is one. So, until next time, may God bless the seeds we sow. Keep walking, keep trusting, and stay true.